Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Kayana. She has just released an incredible new track called Jaded, and I am super excited to talk to her all about it. Kayana, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I'm glad we could make this work. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. Thanks for having
Awesome. You're very welcome. I'm super excited to have you. I want to dive right into it. I love this song. I probably listened to it like 5 times this morning in preparation for
me.
this.
Awesome.
And I'd love to know what it's about. Like, what inspired the song and what's the story behind it all?
Yeah. This is a story of it's really my journey, right? Mostly with online dating in New York City. If you've
Uh,
ever used a dating app in any city, you
Often.
know that it's definitely not easy.
Yeah,
Um,
the worst.
Going through a lot of interesting people before you find one meaningful person.
Correct.
But it's really my journey going through this process, being frustrated by it. The day that I actually started writing this song, I had a date scheduled and I was ghosted. So that was really the inspiration that got me writing this song. That was the time I went home and started writing the song. And that's how it all came about. And obviously, I didn't have enough content to write, a whole song about this one experience of one person I talked to for like,
Sure.
chatting with for like just 7 days or so. So I kind of drew on experiences from the past couple of years. And so that's how Jaded came to be. But it's really a song, of like just feeling overwhelmed about this whole process, hoping others can relate to that as well.
Yeah, that might be one of the most relatable things of all time nowadays because yeah, doesn't matter if you're in a big city or a small city or wherever you
Yep.
are internationally, usually it's all the similar stuff on a dating app is and then you meet the person and you're like, "Oh, you're not really the person I thought you were," because texting is much different than in-person interactions.
The struggle.
But the struggle, but now we have this song to fall back on and feel like we're not alone in this world because it can be extremely isolating in that sense.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, besides the actual message of the song, it sounds great. Did you have a team help you out with like the production or like how did that all come to be?
Yeah. So I do self produce my own tracks.
Oh,
So that
nice.
one, yeah. So I produced the track myself. I started with kind of the idea of the lyrics behind it, but I always try to like listen to different types of, different R&B beats or just to get a
Yeah,
sense of like what kind of vibe I'm going for.
right.
I draw a lot of inspiration from Kiana, Ella May. I think they have this sort of like attitude in the way that they sing that I really love.
Yeah.
And so that's the vibe I was going for. So I started to produce the track, laying down, the synth and the guitar, the bass, the beats. Um, I workshop that a lot myself, and then I kind of bring one of my best friends, Manal. She's great at like helping me out and trying to figure out like, hey, like what more should I add? How does it sound? So I kind of workshop it with her, and kind of use her feedback to improve it a bit. And then once the track is ready, and I'm ready with all of my vocals, I do come in kind of ready to go in the studio. I have my lead vocals down, my backups, my all the harmony parts I have written out. So I go into the studio. I work with Vince McCartney from Goldheart Studios in New York City. He's awesome. He's a great sound engineer, recording artist, or recording engineer, and so he's really the one that brings it to life. So,
Yeah.
I go in and I record what I had in my head, and then afterwards he comes in with his own ideas of like, why don't you try this? Add this, this layer up here and this higher harmony. So I workshop it with him in the studio again with him, and then he mixes and masters it, and it's basically done within like 24 hours.
That's
So it's kind of
amazing.
the
Wow.
process.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there's so much preparation that goes into it.
Yeah.
And I've heard it from so many people. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just get into the studio and I figure it out. But it's studio time is expensive. You can't
Yeah.
just
I'm
show up.
very like I show
Yeah,
up ready to go.
absolutely. You need to be organized. You need to have your stuff together. Obviously, it helps to have someone with, another trained ear to figure out the specifics and the
Mhm.
final touches and stuff and really do bring it to life. But at the same time, you have a vision for it. And obviously, I feel
Yeah.
like it came true. That's awesome. On future music, though, do you have any plans to potentially experiment with your sound or branch out, or do you feel like you found what you're looking for?
I still feel like I'm figuring it out. I started off kind of being a pop artist, and then I
Yeah,
ended up taking down all my music, and I'm, rebranding myself as R&B artist. But really, if you listen to my music, it's not all R&B. Like I
sure.
have Paradise before, which is kind of a Caribbean vibe. Every Day before that is more a little bit indie vibes. So each of my genre kind of is a different vibe. It's a different genre, and I don't know that I really fit into a category. And that's what Vince, my sound engineer, has told me. Every time I record a song, I'm like, "Is this R&B? Is this R&B?"
Well, that's no, but that's not, and I say this all the time because it's so true. It's like music nowadays is not just R&B. It's not just pop,
Right.
it's not just rock. With the future of production, what we're able to do like on our computers, everything is everything. And yeah, like, but you also capture such a larger audience that may like
Exactly.
R&B or pop or whatever it is. And then when it comes to the actual message of the song, you're
Hmm.
like, I don't know, like it has to fit it, and it has to fit your
Right.
delivery. And it goes back to what you're saying about like having that attitude into it. Your vocal delivery has an edge to it, and it's stemming from the actual problem itself, what you're writing about.
Right.
So you can't be like, I'm gonna do like a piano ballad. No, like this needs to have a little oomph to it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Totally
so I think
understand.
I'm multi-genre in terms of, where I
Yes.
fit in. And I'm not trying to conform anymore into one genre. I think it's
No.
okay that I'm doing all these different things, and kind of, it is harder to narrow myself down into one genre and
Yeah.
one target audience. But I think that's what's cool about my music, is that I'm kind of experimenting with different people, different. I have like one song I did Chances that I collab with the rapper, so
Yeah.
it's more hip hop vibe, right? So it's like a whole different vibe each song, but still kind of the cohesive like sound that I have.
Right.
So yeah, I'm still kind of figuring that out.
Totally. Yeah. You never stop figuring it out. You don't need to call yourself one thing. Because then if you pigeonhole yourself into making one kind of music, people are
Exactly.
always gonna know. And also you get feedback on each song. Oh, I like this and I didn't like this. Keep it
Yeah.
loose and keep having fun with it.
Yeah.
But even though that you're making different music, do you approach it differently and actually starting the song? Like, does it always start a different way for you, or have you found that process?
It is different each time.
Okay.
So like for Jaded, I had an idea at first, and so I kind of started writing the lyrics, and then the beats kind of came after.
Yeah.
For Paradise, the song that I wrote beforehand, that was a summer jam that I wrote, and I specifically wanted it to be a Caribbean vibe. So I wanted to channel my Haitian side, and work with a couple of different Haitian artists and Haitian musicians, or sorry, not Haitian, but Caribbean musicians, I'd say,
Sure.
and really create a track that has that Caribbean feel. So I worked with Kayshawn Julian, who is a steel pan player in Trinidad, and then brought in GK Williams from he's of Jamaican descent, and we kind of put this whole track together, and it was so fun doing that. So that one, the track came first, where I had the beats, the music. I was writing that in Ableton, kind of had Kayshawn come in, had the track ready to go, and then the lyrics and the music I was kind of workshopping as I went. But really,
Sure.
that was about having that Caribbean vibe. Whereas like a previous song, Every Day, that one I wrote during the pandemic, when like all plans were getting canceled, and I wrote that song about like every day, everything's the same, every day is the same. Every time we feel like we're getting closer, we're going back to the same.
Yeah.
And so that was really a song that I just like sat down on my piano and just started singing and writing that song. And then eventually I moved it over to the computer and computerized it.
What it's
So
all
it's
about.
different for each song.
Figure it out. Yeah, it totally is based on the context of it.
Mhm.
How long have you been making music for?
I've been making music my whole life.
Yeah.
So I started recording music in 2017.
Okay.
That was when I was doing more of my pop stuff, and then I took everything down, rebranded. 2020 came out with all new stuff. So 2017 or so is when I started recording. But all throughout my life, I've been writing music on my own. My mom is a pianist, and so she's been teaching me piano since I was age 3.
Nice.
Um, and so I was writing, my first song I wrote when I was like 5 years old on the piano. And then throughout middle school, I was writing music, just putting it on my personal YouTube channel. So that's kind of how it stemmed. And then
Sure.
after college, kind of took it to the next level.
Well, what was like the catalyst for taking it not that you weren't doing it professionally, but I guess taking it more seriously in a sense? Like, was there something, or was it just a series of small steps to get there?
I think I've always wanted to do it, but it's just
Yeah.
hard, like, it requires a lot of money, to be honest,
Yeah, it
to do
does. No
this.
one understands that. Well, it's like
Yeah, so
you are your own business manager in a sense. Like, obviously, that real person can come later in life, but you control your own destiny in a sense. And
yeah, it's
that,
really about, like, having the money to do it, first of all, and second, like, knowing how to do it, you
yeah,
know?
right.
So once I figured that out, I took it to the next level, but I had
Sure.
always wanted to.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Are you playing shows? It's something that you've done in the past or something that you have
Yeah,
planned in
so
the
I was
future?
just at SOBs in the city, which is a big like it's actually started off as a salsa club. Now they do R&B nights as well.
Okay.
So I was performing there a couple weeks ago. We had a really good turnout, like a couple hundred people.
Oh
I
yeah.
was sharing the stage with six other artists, and it was a really fun time. I sang three of my originals. That was I think it was like the week after Jaded launched. So I
Okay,
got to
cool.
premiere Jaded at that show, which was really cool. And then
Nice.
came on and sang Paradise with me. So we had a great time. I have another one coming up in November in Midtown Manhattan as well. So trying to every like 6 weeks or so, trying to do a show
Yeah.
in the city in
Are
New York.
these all music festivals or these like your
It's
shows?
not music festivals.
Yeah.
They're shows put on with various artists.
Oh, okay. Got it,
Yeah.
got it. Nice. So, what would you like to see happen in the next year? Like, you can either be conservative with it or you can be like lofty goals.
Yeah. So I've released 10 singles already. Jaded was my 10th
Right.
single. So I think it's time that I do an EP.
I think
I've
so
kind of
too.
been riding this single wave for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's the
so
way of the music industry, but I get it.
yeah, I think it's time. And everyone's been asking, like, when's the EP coming? So I think it's time. Just last night I started like Googling like how to write an EP, like what's the strategy. So I'm still very new in this process, trying to
Sure.
figure out, what I need to do to put out an EP. I think that means that I have to kind of pause for a little bit on putting out music. I was trying to put new music out every 2, 3 months.
Yeah.
I may have to just take a little bit of a break to kind of work on my EP, and then maybe the next 4